talking about 5 easy yoga moves you can do for balance. We're gonna go through 5 different poses that can help you out with balance, and I'm gonna give you lots of modifications for each one so that they truly can work for you and be something that's accessible for you. So if you've done yoga, if you've heard of some of these poses, as we go through them, you might be thinking, I can't do that, there's no way. But we're gonna go through them in a way that I hope makes them accessible for most of you, and then you can use them to get better and then, maybe advance your poses in the future. So all of these I've done with, people that are in their 80s, that are post-cardiac surgery and cardiac events, and they are able to do at least some version of these. So we're gonna try them out, and I hope that they work for you and that you can practice these at home. So the first thing we're gonna do is mountain pose. So this is called Tadasana in Sanskrit, and it's our standing pose, but there's some really key alignment things that I want to go through, and then things to remember about this pose that you can apply to virtually every other yoga pose, and really just like ways that you move in everyday life, those alignment cues. So we're going to start with our feet about hip distance apart. So that's about 1.5 fists. So it's not that far. It's actually right under our hips, not where our femur meets over here, but our hips. So straight down, about 1.5 fists, boom. Okay, the inside of my feet are about parallel, but if that's not comfortable for you, do what's comfortable. I'm gonna spread my toes wide, slight bend in the knees. I'm gonna pull my belly button in. A lot of us have an anterior tilt to the pelvis where our pelvis kind of falls forward. I'm gonna tilt that back, pull my belly button in, shoulders on top of hips, hips on top of ankles. And your head should be able to float freely here. So my quads are working here, my legs, my core is working, my back's working to keep my shoulders back and down from the ears, but they're relaxed as well. And then my head should be able to float. So for me, I have to work really hard to keep my body in proper alignment because of the kind of the postural imbalances that I have. So if you're doing this properly, for me, I gotta use a lot of core strength. You might be working in a different way. But with those key alignment principles in mind, I want you to just stay here and breathe for about 1 minute, or take 10 really deep breaths, and just feel what it feels like to be in alignment and where you have to work to keep yourself there. Okay, so that's mountain. The next thing we're gonna do is chair pose. So this is like a squat pose. We're gonna start in the same place in Tadasana. And then what I'm gonna do is shift my weight back into my heels and sit my bum back way behind me. So it's not like a squat. We're gonna sit our hips back even more. So even if your upper body comes to parallel with the ground, that's fine. So options here to just not go down as far. You can hold onto a wall, you can hold onto a chair, you can hold onto 2 chairs. If you are in a chair and you can't get up, you can just start working on as if you were going to stand up, okay? So we want to work these muscles. We're going to sit the hips back, and then if you can, arms can come out anywhere to all the way up here if you have the shoulder mobility, or they can be out front. And again, for me, I need to pull that belly button in here. And so we're balancing here, right? Because we're in a place where our center of gravity is shifted. We're not in our normal standing posture. We're gonna have to work our stabilizer muscles, our core. And I want you to stay here for about 30 seconds or 5 really deep breaths, 5 to 10 really deep breaths. And work on feeling even through the feet. Okay. So we're kind of progressing. We're gonna go into warrior 1 or a lunge. So people do warrior 1 a little differently. We're gonna do it in kind of a traditional lunge sense. So stepping back with 1 foot. Again, pull that core in. Your pelvis might need to shift back a little bit here. And I wanna try to stack knee over ankle and work towards straightening that back leg. But if that puts a lot of strain on the knee, a slight bend is totally okay. Good, and then from here, arms come up. So again, we've changed our base and our center of gravity here. So I'm gonna have to work to keep my feet equal here. Shoulders relaxed down the back. You can always keep the hands on the hips as well. And again, 5 to 10 deep breaths. Work with those alignment things. The knees over the ankle, and then switch. And same thing here. So a lunge can be pretty intense for people. So use a wall or a chair. And if this is your lunge, that's totally fine. As long as that front knee isn't passing those front toes and we're not having knee pain, then you're doing a good thing. You're working on those muscles. So maybe all you can do is take a step back and learn to balance here, okay? This could be your lunge or this could be your lunge, okay? Either way, about 30 seconds each side. I'm gonna move on to tree. So this is where people might start to get freaked out. But the thing is our full tree pose might be this. It might be this or this. But tree pose is also picking up one ankle, coming onto the toes, leaning that ankle against, or the heel against the ankle. This is tree pose as well, okay? So starting by just picking up that ankle. Maybe you can turn that ankle in, and this is a perfect place to start. So find a spot on the floor that's not moving, and again, pull that pelvis back, engage the core, and try to keep your hips in alignment, so don't let them sway, and don't let your hips fall out to one side. You can feel the hip bones, we want them in line with the ground and facing the same direction. So you're gonna have to engage your glutes. Maybe the foot can come up here. We're gonna avoid pressing on the knee. So we're either on the floor, on the calf, or on the thigh. And then arms can come to heart center or up above you if you want. And again, 30 seconds or 5 to 10 deep breaths. And we'll switch. You can move on to that other side. This is a perfectly fine place to be, and the wall is always there, or a chair, okay? So wherever you are, thigh, calf, or floor. Okay, and the very last thing, toppling tree. So again, this can seem scary because we're coming onto one foot and we're coming forward into kind of like a flying pose. But the thing is you can start, hand on the wall, pick those toes up off the floor. Okay, this is where we're starting. Just can you get those toes an inch up off the floor in balance? If you can you start to hinge at your hips and come forward? So slight bend in this knee, no knee pain, please. Once you've got that, maybe a little further. Maybe a little further. Keep the core engaged. We want a long line from the head all the way to the toes. You're gonna have to work those glutes to keep the leg up. Then maybe one day the hands come off the wall. So same thing, deep breaths, 30 seconds or 5 to 10 breaths, then we come up and switch. So maybe you're here, maybe you're here, maybe you're here, maybe you're here. Okay? So by the end of this, you've probably worked your core a lot, your legs, and worked especially on those stabilizing muscles, so our glute med, the side of our glutes, our core, those really important muscles for keeping us stable. So I hope that you go through those and you try those. If they're working for you, do them every day, and I bet you in a couple weeks, things will be very different. I see people do these and get better so quickly, and it's really, really awesome because balance and good stability, that is so crucial to everyday tasks, and that can be one of the really, really important things as you age to keep you independent and able to do the things you want to do. So don't neglect doing things that challenge your balance. We'll see you next time. Bye.